And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the European Racing Series Grand Prix here in Russia. I'm Ben Rwaggy McConnell, and joining me, as always, is the awesome David Fossetti. How are you doing?
Hello, comrade. Welcome to Russia. How are we
Comrade.
doing? I am
good.
I am good.
Oh, much better than the weather, that's for sure. Look at that. That is a torrential downpour and a half. So to have to qualify in these conditions is very difficult anyway. But obviously then have to worry about your setup going into the race. If the race is going to be dry, would make things so much harder to do.
I mean, this is the stuff of dreams for me personally. A wet Russia, that would just be brilliant. I would absolutely love to be out there today. I can't say everyone would agree with me, that statement, but I would absolutely love it. Nothing but tarmac and the skill of the driver coming out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's
kind of thing.
That's something I struggle in when it comes to this sort of circuit, this sort of weather conditions as well. You know, the acceleration out of corners is key. You got to be so gentle on the accelerator when you're in these wet conditions. You know, if you've even got a slightly heavier foot than normal, then you will lose the back end of your car. You can almost guarantee it. Now, these guys obviously have been looking at the weather report for the weekend, trying to work out, you know, is it going to be dry at any point? What sort of setup do I need? Do I want to go for a full wet setup, or do I actually go for a dry setup and just nurse it through qualifying? Only these guys know as it stands. We haven't yet got a weather report, but we'll hopefully get one soon enough. All right, first out, Hypers. He's going to be giving us a rundown of the circuit. Hopefully, Mr. Fossetti Tate is feeling pretty vocal today, ready for a nice hot lap rundown. Have I lost Dave? Dave, are you alive? I think I've lost Dave. Alright, well, I'll do this solo then, I guess. Hyper's out first. Who's that behind? Is that just chilling? Yes, it is. So he's actually out quite early to get himself on a nice little feeler lap. Now, again, these rainy conditions make it so you want to try and get as many laps in as you can to try and help form a racing line and not take the run-off road as wide as he did. If you can form a nice little racing line, you can actually at some points go to intermediate tyres depending on how wet the conditions actually are. As long as there's no standing water on the racing line, intermediate tyres will be faster almost always. But you know, when the rain is hard and it's falling on the track and no racing line is available to be formed, then yeah, wet tyres is absolutely a necessity, which is why you're seeing majority of the drivers on the wet tyres. Standing water is a major factor. But you know, these tyres can go quite the distance. Just chilling. Takes it a little bit awkwardly through there. It gives me the impression though, because he's normally pretty good in the wet conditions, it does kind of make me feel as though we are going to have a dry race. Obviously, we don't know what the weather conditions are. We don't get told. Because the game doesn't let us know. It'd be good if it did. And F1 2020, if you could assist with a little weather rundown, that'd be fabulous. However, I want to go on board with Hypers, who has started the first hot lap of the session. So, home straight, DRS wing wide open, if the track was actually dry. However, it isn't. Turn 1 was that little kink on the right hand side, and now he's got a very hard braking zone. Normally you'd brake just before the 100-meter board and get yourself down to gear 3 and then clip the inside curbs through 2 and 3. And now you got turn 4, which is long left-hander. This is the area where if you haven't got the car set up right, in these wet conditions, the back end will step out. You can see he was like 2/3 throttle there because he knows he can't actually fully commit. If he does, he will lose the back end and that'll be the end of his qualifying run. So whilst you think you're going slow quite often in the wet conditions is actually quite fast. As Hyper's still taking it pretty gingerly through here. Now you've got another quick right-hander here. This one is important. You want to cut the curb, but not too much as you invalidate, and don't run wide because you invalidate again. Here, again, same scenario. You want to cut the inside again, but don't run too wide, although this one's a bit more forgiving than the last. And then you come into yet another sort of awkward braking zone. But again, the exit is so key because you have another, what would be a DRS straight if it was dry conditions. Right here, towing through here is going to be very important. You're coming into a very hard braking zone at the end of the isn't straight, and you know you can easily get on the inside and hopefully get a position done. But you have to be prepared for the fact that you are going to be on the outside should you take the inside right, run through the right. As you come through the left here, this again exit is important. Don't get too early on the throttle because you can easily lose it. Brake slowly into this corner, cut the curb just nicely, and it's another slow chicane here. I guess right-hander. Coming up to the final two corners now is a double right-hander. Brake when you see the safety car board. Get yourself down the gears to about gear 4. Clip the curb on the inside. Again, don't run too wide. And then again, get the run through here. Now, in the race, this exit is going to be crucial. You cannot afford to make mistakes there. Just chilling. We'll be right behind Hypers, who said 147.634. We know that JC's not going to beat that because he's already passed it, but it is a 149.542. Beaker is actually someone I rely on when it comes to these wet conditions, so he may actually be consistent. There you go, 148.219. Hopefully he can close that up a little bit more as the race starts to get better, as his teammate Yonti goes 48.069. Who's out there as well? We've got next is a Red Bull, which is Brownie. No, it's Overspeed, who's on an outlap, so he's about to start. We have a Ferrari coming, which is not Danico, is in fact Dennis, who has also just started. But Danico is, however, coming to the end of his lap. And how is it going to be? It's a 149.529. Puts him P6. Luke also on a hot lap right now, as actually has a McLaren coming out of the pits. Shouldn't really affect him. Should be keeping out of the way quite nicely too. That was a Red Bull that just crossed the line. That was Brownie with a 149.430. He's recovering. Apparently he can't hear me in Discord. Let me quickly fix this. Bear with me 1 second. Apologies, ladies and gents. We're just having a slight technical difficulty. Apparently it's my end that's causing the problem, but there he is. Let's just quickly get him in here. And hopefully he can hear me. David? To it appear not. Alright, I'm going to have to continue without him for now then. Diddle-doo, diddle-doo. In the meantime, Yonti did improve. He's gone a 147.440, so he has now set the fastest lap on the session. We'll see if anybody else can beat it, but I think the only real people who are going to try right now are people that are currently they've already reset themselves. I'm looking at Copy, JC, and maybe even Hypers. Should he have wanted to, but he's decided Pits was how he fires off. Here comes Rainbow then to start a hot lap. We're trying one more thing. I'm not sure what's going on. Can you hear me? Nope, nothing. Nothing at all. Right, I'm just going to continue. Otherwise I'll be here all day. Discord has died? Ah, well that would explain it. Fabulous. Okay, well I'm going to continue then solo throughout the remainder of the session. Hopefully we can get David back soon enough, but if not then it's going to be a big yikes. So here we go then. We have Rainbow who's still on his hot lap that we saw earlier, although his ERS looks like it's completely gone. I don't know if he's just burnt it out completely or if he's desynced for me and I can't see exactly where he is. There is a Ferrari behind him, which would make me think that he's not desynced. I can see him cycling through the gears okay, all his brake and like, the throttle seem to be very AI controlled. Maybe this isn't actually him unless he has disconnected. Yep, he has disconnected, that's fine, that would explain it. Oh, David?
Hello.
Ah, he's back. Hello.
So apparently there's a problem with Discord, and switching to Brazil helps.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Might be slightly laggy, but we have each other.
We do. We have each other. Now I'm actually seeing Danico and Rainbow side by side with each other throughout the final corner. I think Rainbow's actually not here. Can you confirm that on your side?
So Rainbow is no, it's like he's not ghosted or anything.
Has he got
That
run
being
out of
said-
ERS for you as well?
No, he's got full ERS. Well, almost
Okay,
full.
well, he's desynced for me then. Great.
He is pretty
More
close to
technical.
Danico on track, so sure.
Right, so Yonti P1 right now with a 147.440. Where's Rainbow for you then on the standings?
So he has not set a lap yet.
Okay, good. Good. That's fine. That seems like that's still synced up at least. We have had Beaker go out now to start another hot lap. Now, he did a 148.219 previously. He is, yeah, about a tenth behind Mizzo and Copy, who've set exactly the same times. But other than that, we've got nothing else.
Yeah, I've missed the hell of a lot of this qualifying session. I'm not quite sure what's going on. But yeah, I'm just trying to sort of gather my bearings. Camille seems to be struggling out there. I guess he made a mistake on his flying lap. I guess he's going to go again and get himself closer to his teammate, which of course should be possible. Yonti, I'm quite surprised. I didn't think he would be this far up the field.
Yeah? You think so? You didn't think that was going to happen?
I mean, he's a solid driver. I just don't think he's sort of that kind of world-beating driver. He's a solid driver that will always get you points, but not necessarily the one to be fighting for wins. But he's proved me wrong.
I mean, I've seen him in the past, you know, absolutely nail it and really take these big boys to a point where it's, you know, hold them down a little bit and actually compete with them. Today, in the wet conditions, he looks like he's currently alpha, I feel like. The one person who I'm quite surprised at being as slow as he is, Camille. He's currently obviously dead last, 153.580. I'm almost certain that that is a banker lap. But, I don't know, I was expecting more from him, even from a banker lap.
I don't think we've seen anywhere near Camille's true pace. I didn't see the lap to tell you, but I think there's been a mistake somewhere in that lap. That is a seriously slow lap. I mean, banker or no banker, and he's really struggling actually. I'm just looking at him coming through the final corner. That rear end was everywhere. So that's a dry setup on the Mercedes, if I've ever seen one in my life.
So I've just heard that the reason why he's struggling so much is because he has a new set of brakes. This is the first time he's ever driven on a load cell braking system. So having done that switch for myself not that long ago, it is actually really difficult to learn initially. You've got to completely relearn how to brake, and oh my lord, he threw the car around there very hard indeed. But he's all right. He's still alive. He still has plenty of time to recover, and I think maybe this race was probably not the one to start learning these brake pedals on.
I'm not sure it's a brake problem he's experiencing. The rear end of that car is all over the place. Absolutely all over the place.
It looks like he's throwing it around quite a lot, isn't he, through these corners? Well, not now, he's not, but he was earlier.
Yeah, I was taking notes when I was watching Hypers' lap because it seemed so kind of boring and calm. I was sort of taking note of his throttle application. It was very easy, very like sort of gradual. Camille is just stepping on it right now.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be an indicator that there's going to be a really big gulf in times between these two. But I expect Camille to make it up in the race, knowing the driver that he is.
So, we haven't done it yet. We have got 4 minutes 30 remaining of the session. I'd like to have a 1, 2, 3 prediction from you for the end of qualifying.
Oh, okay. So, I'm going to go Hypers P1.
Okay.
I'm going to go Brownie P2, and I'm going to go Mizzo P3.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, here comes Mr. Camille across the line. He does improve, but it's only a 150.008, so it's not enough currently for him to be able to get himself up near the front. I'm actually not going to predict him anywhere near the top. I'm not actually even going to predict him in the top 6, because if he's learning new brakes, his pace is going to be so far off, and especially in these wet conditions, he's got no chance of making it to be anywhere near up the top. I think you're right. I think Hypers will take P1. Yonti's really impressed me with his pace. I think he'd be P2, and I think Mizzo P3.
This might be a factor of Camille's new brake, but he is resting his foot on the brake, and there's a tiny little application of brake when he's driving.
Yeah, I just saw it there. Like you can see again now that it's just
Coming out of
so
the corners,
minor.
yeah.
I don't think he realizes just how, how responsive these brake pedals are now. They are so
Yeah.
smart. They tell you everything about the car, and it's really important that he learns that technique.
He is off the road. I think that's just to let overspeed by. But Dennis onto the inters. That's a brave call with it still lashing down the way it is. He's just debated us. Never mind.
I mean, I'm looking at the racing line. I can't see any standing water on it right now. Yeah, there's standing water to the sides of it. And if you ran off of the racing line, you would very much be in trouble if you was on the intermediate tires. But realistically, I actually think the intermediates wouldn't be that big a deal for him. I think he could do it if he should go for it. It's just, again, oh, there is a bit there actually. So maybe, no, Camille's rotated. He's made a mistake. He is really struggling with these new pedals.
Yep. Copy. 3/10 up coming through turn 4, and he has backed out of his lap. So I think a lot more pace for him still to come. I'm watching Brownie now. My prediction for P2, and I think a solid weather driver, and he's come along a long way in the last couple of months. I think he's raised his game. Like the competition he's been facing, I think in leagues has become stiffer, and I think he has sort of raised his game to match. So I'm really impressed by him recently.
Yeah, he's a fantastic driver. Esports material at one point. He's had a bit of a roller coaster ride in terms of his actual driver skill. F1 2019, he struggled to really adapt to initially. He started to pick it up as we've gone further into the season. Like you said, more recently, he has become a lot faster than I've seen him ever before. My concern is that his reliance on his race pace is down to his strategy. A lot of the time he'll start on the harder tire and he'll go to the softer tire, which works. That's not like a criticism, if you like. It's more the fact of I feel like it's holding him back sometimes. I feel like he actually is fast enough to be able to compete with these guys on the same strategy that they're on, but he seems to opt for the strategy he feels most comfortable on, just because that's what he does all the time.
Yeah, I think it shows a real mental strength from a driver to be able to just sort of run on your own on a slower tire. Just to be able to sort of keep yourself switched on, keep yourself motivated, and make that reverse strategy work. It tells you a lot about his sort of mentality. A lot of guys retiring.
Oh, Danico. That was an intentional retirement.
Yeah, it looks like it. So a lot of guys making mistakes in their final lap and putting it in the wall. Obviously, Russia is the king of the corner cut.
Yep.
So right. I expect to see a few more, actually. Beaker coming across the line. P2, the track is drying. So
Oof.
Hypers is just going to get around with 20 seconds to spare. And I think he is going to be the last one. No, Overspeed will be the last one across the line.
Yep, he will.
Rainbow
I think that means that... Yeah, but I can't see him. Is he actually on a hot lap?
Rainbow is on a hot lap, yes. He is... didn't improve. But he is going to get one more shot as the checkered flag waves. Luke's final run is not an improvement. Yonti behind does not improve either. Coming into the final second now is Brownie on his final glory run.
Yeah,
I think Mizzo could well be caught out here. He's in P4. He's retired early, and with this drying track, I think we could end up seeing him well down the order.
Which would be a shame, because he is somebody we rely on to being very quick. Now, I am actually really happy to see, though, if you look from P2 down to P5, they're all exactly a tenth away from each other, which is beautiful to look at for us. Here comes Brownie. He gets up there, P6, 147.727. Right now, Copy's just being there, knocked himself up there as well. It's 147.493. He's literally 0.05 of a second away from being in P4, but that's not enough. P5, sorry. Just chilling. Is he coming for the final? Yeah, he's still going. Yeah. He's not looked too fast. I've just looked at his delta. Looks like he was down. We'll see if he's going to be that little bit quicker as he comes to the line. He is faster by 0.4, but it doesn't move him anywhere.
Now, our guy Dennis, perennial driver of the day in RNL, does manage to snatch P8, but the main man here, Veloce Hypers,
improves,
extends his lead at the top. But I think Overspeed might be a big winner here. He's
It
not
looks
looked
like
too
he's
confident
invalidated.
coming through the pellet. Yeah, not looked too confident at all there. And yeah, does not improve actually. But Rainbow, the last one to come across the line. I know you can't see him, but he comes across the line P9, 148.080. So a really big spread in the field, which kind of lets you know how some people were struggling in those conditions compared to others.
So it is going to be Hypers then who gets himself on the top step, as you would expect. However, he is not looking massively faster. He did look confident. You know, he is still 7/10 faster than Beaker. But again, it makes you wonder, did he go for a full wet setup or did he go for a dry setup? As the others looked like they were all on dry setups. We will wait and see. However, the rundown is as follows. Hypers P1, Beaker P2, Luke P3, Mizzo P4, Yonti P5, Copy 6, Brownie 7th, Dennis in 8th with Rainbow in 9th. Danico rounds out the top 10 with Just Chilling getting best of the rest. Camille, who's had a bit of a struggle this session, is in P12, and Overspeed, who invalidated his final lap, will be in P13.
3.6 seconds between those Mercedes drivers. That is insane. From
But it
two
is dry.
very well matched and extremely quick drivers, to see that gap between them, that is really, really something.
So, Meister, the server has just been fixed. It is unbelievably hot today, both in the track and in real life. Are you sweating? Are you very warm?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I am quite moist. Is that, yeah, why not?
God, the image that I just had implanted into my head was disgusting. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I am in my race seat, naked, with butter.
And we're off the air.
All over the place.
We are now on a formation lap, though.
Hypers has gone for the mediums.
Yeah, and there's actually a bit of a sporadic tyre situation going on. You've got guys that are in the top 10 that have actually gone for softs. Majority of them have actually gone for the mediums. You have the likes of Beaker, Luke, and Mizzo, and Copy have all gone for the softs. Interestingly, both the house drivers are on different strategies.
I mean, that is what you would ideally want as a sort of, if you were in communication with your teammate, you do not want a double stack. And, you know, having separate strategies is the best way to avoid that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm quite surprised that we've seen such a sort of, like a sort of 70-30 split in favor of the mediums.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they can pull this off later. Yonti, like we said, he's the kind of guy who will also do the harder to softer compound tyre. Not surprised by Brownie. Not surprised by him at all going for the medium tyre. I fully expected that. It does kind of suggest again, though, that the dry setup was applied to all these cars. Do we have to worry about hypers? Probably not. I don't know. I don't know. His time was fast, don't get me wrong, but again, did he compromise his setup in any way to be fast in the wet conditions?
I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but I've seen Camille have a big kick of oversteer on the formation lap.
Yeah, he's right down the back there, isn't he?
Yeah, he has sort of dropped a long way back from the field, so maybe more problems for Camille.
Well, we've had our first prediction in the chat, so Brownie, Hypers, Camille. 1, 2, 3 is how Hammer Time sees it. Now, what is your top 3 prediction, Mr. Dave?
Mr. Dave, well, it all relies on Veloce Hypers not being a rolling chicane for these 3 behind him on the soft compound. They need to clear him, they need to clear him fast.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think Hypers will be able to hold on with his natural pace. So I think Hypers is definitely going to win this race. If it's incident-free, safety car-free. I think I fancy Brownie sneaking a podium. And I think Mizzo P2. Despite being on what I'm going to say is an inferior strategy. But I could be wrong.
All right, the lights are on then, and we're about to get underway with the Russian Grand Prix right now. And it's going to be Beaker getting a nice start, but it's actually Hypers who's going to get a better one. Never mind, look at Beaker go. He is right on through. Here comes Luke as well. Hyper's already about to lose 2 places. They are going to go 3 wide as Beaker comes over to defend. He puts him over towards the wall. There was almost a murder there, but nobody is impacted. Beaker and Hypers go side by side. Beaker and Hypers has to go onto the runoff area. So does Copy. Copy's up to P3. He's had a phenomenal start, and we've only just gone through turn 4.
Yeah, back down to P5 now, though. Was caught out in turn 4. And Brownie and Yonti side by side behind him. But yeah, Beaker early on doing exactly what he needed to do. And this could be a real advantage for him if the other 2, or the other 3 now as Copies join them, cannot get past Hypers. And honestly, I'm not sure they can. That was really great driving off the start from Beaker. And I think that is going to make his race.
Yep, he's been driving a lot today, practicing in this game to make sure he's ready for tonight's race. And right now, he's looking like it's paid off for him. He's currently sat on pole position, in race lead position. Sorry, yellow flag sector 2. That is Camille.
That's Camille and Overspeed. Camille
Have
and
they actually
Overspeed.
had damage?
So from what I was assuming, Camille may be tagging Overspeed because it looked to me like Camille was just waiting for Overspeed. No damage on either car.
Okay, so just so I know, where's Rainbow?
Rainbow is P9.
Okay, he's P11 for me at the minute.
Okay.
But we'll see. So Beaker's still leading this race after the end of the first lap. Hypers is being chased with Mizzo right on his backside. The soft tires are working for these guys right now, which is great news for them. Bad news for Hypers, but he knows he can play the strategy game a lot better. Like he said, this is more the inferior strategy if you are starting on the soft. Ollie's going to go for a send in towards turn 2. It's going to be a side-by-side with a wheel touch in, but no dramas more than that. Luke has a chance now to get round the outside of Mizzo in towards turn 5. This is going to be a major dive if he can pull it off. I think it's going to be a late one. He's decided against it, probably for the better.
Yeah, you're going to need to get a little bit further alongside Hypers before he's going to give you space. I mean, good try, Mick. He'll have to wait till next lap. But Hypers, I don't think he's going to be in any sort of major rush to defend.
Is that Yonti that's had an issue? I think Yonti and Dennis had issues. Yeah, look at Dennis. He's got 0 front wing whatsoever.
We've got a VSC. We've got a VSC.
I can imagine so. If you look at Dennis's car, it's a miracle that he's even alive, to be honest. It looks like that was a hell of a hit. And Yonti's got right damage as well, so and left damage. He's got missing a left end plate, and then on the right side he's missing end plate and elements. And then you've got Dennis, who doesn't have a wing full stop.
No damage further up the field from what I can see. But this VSC, they never last long enough. In my experience, they never quite last long enough.
No, not especially to to actually get anything from it. If you can take anything from it, then you want to get yourself in the best case there. It's already gone again. It's so quick to just disappear on the circuit. Yeah, Yonti's coming in.
And Mizzo is right
Dennis.
behind Hypers, right behind him. And with DRS enabled, I'm not sure. Yeah, he is going to get it into turn 1 as Dennis gets a 5-second penalty for speeding the pit lane. This could be 3 wide because Hypers is gaining on Beaker. Beaker to the inside, Hypers round the outside, but does not make that move. A little tag in the back from Mizzo. Hopefully no damage on that Alfa Romeo. And it looks like he might go for the send into turn 5. He gets alongside. He takes a little bit too much curb. And as a consequence, is not able to make that pass. Hypers holding on, and crucially not losing too much time in this battle.
Beaker needs to run very quickly now. He's seen the scrap that's going on for P2. Yeah, Hypers is doing a good job of keeping him behind him, but for as long as they keep scrapping, for as long as they keep going side by side, this is only going to harm their race, and you can see the gap. Yes, it's only 7/10, but it's starting to form. DRS here will allow that to close in just a slight bit. Hypers made a mistake. Mizzo surely got him now. The DRS wing wide open, the ERS in mode 4. He's got the toe just about, but he can't really get fully into it because he'll touch his back end and will end his race. He's going to have to tear the outside line. This is going to be hard, and Hypers breaks early. He lets him through. He did not want to get involved in that overtake, and Mizzo up to P2.
Yeah, I was going to say, at some point he was going to have to swallow his pride and think long-term about this race. It's no good fighting side by side. It's going to wreck your strategy. You're in for the longer haul. You've got the better tires in a long run. Just stay behind, try and stay in that DRS.
Yeah, that's the experience coming through there for Hypers. You know, he's been in this seat many a time. He knows exactly what to expect. Just chilling, setting a new fastest lap, a 1:35.623. So this is good stuff for him. I want to go back to Hypers. He's a bit too far back, but stay with JC, in fact, because he might actually be able to attack Brownie. He's gone into mode 4 for a very long time. There's going to be a late break if he does go for it, but no, he's not. He's still there, actually. No, never mind. I mean, he's on the softer tyres, so he should, in theory, be faster, but Brownie did have DRS, and Brownie's starting to lag a little bit. That's forced him to be merged with JC's car. Now they're actually going to be wheel to wheel. They need to both be aware, and JC's run wide. That's affected him. He's going to lose out on the opportunity to attack.
Yeah, I think he had to cut that corner because they stopped ghosting just at the wrong time. I think if just Chillin had tried to take that corner, he would have got his nose chopped off.
Overspeed and Camille actually having a little scrap here. Overspeed's going to take the outside line. It's going to be a hard break, and he almost lost control of his car. He's kept it together. Camille defending quite well there. Overspeed get a bit of a tank slapper. Very nearly finds himself in the wall on the right side. And again, oh, late on the brakes. Almost goes straight into the rear of that Mercedes. And they are both really struggling with the rear ends of the car today. Luke's actually fighting with Hypers.
Yeah.
Hypers is about to lose a position.
You were talking about being warm earlier. I mean, these medium rear tyres, they're going to be hot. Both of them. And, oh, wow. This is beyond description. They're both sliding around. It's like the mountain scene from Tokyo Drift, almost. They are all over the place.
Yeah, Camille's trying to defend. He's trying to think about the corners that are coming up. Oh, there's a touch. That was very nearly. Camille put off into the wall. There's more touching. There's surely got to be wing damage now on that Mercedes. That right end plate cannot be in a great position at all. Let's have a look. The Red Bull is fine. I think an end plate is missing.
I saw something flying. I think obviously Mercedes damage.
Yep. That right end plate is missing on the Mercedes.
And into the pits he goes, I think. Yep.
There's a beautiful little fight.
And 3 second time penalty for Dennis. And he goes around in the final sector. He's spun around.
He's not enjoying the circuit today, is he? He's had a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's already been into the pits for wing damage. He's now had another penalty for corner cutting, and he's had a rotation. He's really not having a great race at all. But somebody who is really, really enjoying themselves right now is Luke. He's on the back of Hypers. Hypers' pace has disintegrated. I don't know what's happened to him. I mean, surely the soft tyres are not this strong in comparison to the mediums. I guess all will become clear later. But again, this kind of backs up what I was saying before. Has there been a change?
Having to go here for the lead. No, he's backed out. Going into sector 2, he was side by side almost, but better orbit. But I expect him to make the move.
Luke went deep there. Luke went deep into the middle chicane. Hyper's managed to recover the position that he just lost. But yeah, honestly, I was saying before, Hypers seems to have made a change to his setup that's allowed him to be ridiculously fast when he was in the wet conditions. I don't know if he's made it as a permanent change that can't be refixed for going into a race. But yeah, going back to race leaders, because Mizzo's through. He's past Beaker, and I don't think Beaker can retaliate just yet.
Beaker, yeah, staying in the slipstream, but obviously with the DRS not being able to get anywhere near Mizzo. But yeah, Hyper's doing his bit for these two leaders. I mean, rolling roadblock. That's the only way I can describe it. He is so slow. And I think you might be onto something there with a wet setup. He looked so planted and comfortable in the wet, and I think it has had a knock-on effect on his race pace. And Luke being able to easily keep up with him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him get the pass done very, very soon.
Well, alongside that, look at the train he's got forming behind him. He's got P3 down to P7. I can't see where Rainbow is, so it could even be down to P8 for all I know. But this is a very close little fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's the mediums, because Brownie's in this train as well.
Yeah, and he feels comfortable. He looks fine. He doesn't seem to be struggling in any way, shape, or form. This battle for P1, though, is very much raging. 2.3 seconds is the gap between P2 and P3, and the race leader is very much under attack. He just has to nurse his way around the circuit until we get onto the DRS straights, and then he has to deploy everything to get away from Beaker as much as he can. But at the same time, it's kind of reminiscent of sort of Italy, for example. When you're attacking on Monza, every lap you swap places because of how easy it is to just overtake on that home straight.
Yep. Unless you're sort of playing a little bit of tactics and you want to stay behind and save battery and leave the other guy out to dry. But Danico into the pits after 5 laps on mediums. Camille, after 1 lap on hards, has switched back to the original mediums that he started the race on, and he is about to be lapped by Mizzo and Bika. Interesting to see how quickly the Mercedes gets out of the way with his teammate sitting in third.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have thought he's going to back them up. They're going to work together. I mean, these guys do talk to each other quite frequently, especially in these races. So they're definitely in cahoots with each other. It's just, again, down to a situation of what has happened to Camille. He has literally disintegrated in terms of pace in comparison to these guys. I know the pedals are very hard to learn, but this is just on another level.
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words because it seems like all his problems coming under acceleration, not braking as you suggested with the new brakes. But if he was trying to back up his leaders or
Oh, he's made a
leaders for his
mistake.
teammate, it has not
Oh, he's not.
helped
He's
because
packed
he's
it.
oh. Yeah, I can imagine. He wants to let everyone past. Credit to him for doing that. I thought he might have given Mizzo DRS, but it wasn't the case.
There is a scrap for P9 right now as well, which is Yonti at Nova Speed. I imagine with Yonti being on these soft tyres and Nova Speed feeling a little bit comfortable, a bit further upfield on the mediums, that this will be pretty simple as Yonti's already through. I think Nova Speed actually let him by so he can get the DRS. I think that has actually worked out very well for him, but the battle for P1 is about to get lively again, albeit not for now. Beaker's decided to not go into mode 4, but he is much further back than he normally is when he gets to this section of the circuit. And there will not be a pass for P3. Sorry?
But he was flicking between 3 and 4 there. I'm not sure. You've got to really commit if you do want to get past, or save if you don't. And he was sort of in between there, so I think a bit of a missed opportunity to save some battery there. But Luke, 3-second time penalty for him, which puts him right at the back of this train.
Yeah, it really does. Oh, Luke went really far off the circuit there. He brought himself back with just in time for the wall, but that was a sign of weakness, potentially. Maybe he's not feeling that comfortable. Maybe the softs have actually started to fall apart here. They do disintegrate quite quickly on this circuit. We have seen that in the past, but, you know, he's still here, still fighting with Hypers. Hypers has decided, like we said, to start his race on the mediums, along with Brownie, who's done the same thing. Everyone else really started on the soft tyres, interestingly.
Yeah, I think Hypers is starting not to reel them in, but they're certainly not getting away. I think it won't be too long before we reach that sort of crossover point when the mediums start outpacing the softs once more. And I just think with these leading two, I mean, not that they will, but they should work together to try and pull out as much of gap as they can. Because I still think Hypers has the upper hand here. He has all the cards in his hand. And I think the way he's saving battery as well, it's only a matter of time before he puts the hammer down and starts catching up to these leaders.
Now, Mizzo has deployed a little bit more ERS than the likes of Beaker. For example, Beaker catches up really quickly to the back of Mizzo. I imagine that was a warning for corner cut in there. Copy is actually at risk of losing at the 1 second DRS margin. He's currently sat P6 behind Luke, but it's almost a full second gone now. And in fact, I think when the interval updates, he will be outside of it. This is quite worrying times for Copy, especially with a very quick Brownie and a quick Just Chillin' chasing you down.
Yep, and Brownie is only going to get quicker in comparison as these softs start to wear away. So Copy in real trouble. I mean, it's been like sort of 2 or 3 laps. He's been 8-9 tenths away, and he has finally just briefly dropped below that 1 second. He's managed to claw it back, and he will have DRS from his back straight, I think.
No, I don't think he has. He might actually lose it here then.
And he might lose P5 as well, because Brownie behind does. Brownie behind is gaining. I think he's maybe slightly, yeah, just a little bit too far away.
I mean, that's great news for Just Chilling because he was actually not in a position to attack. He was there. He was involved. Oh, he's lost the rear. He's kept it there. But he was there. He's still involved in this fight for P5 effectively. But he couldn't actually capitalize on Brownie's attack here, and he might actually do it. Copy's in. Just Chilling's in as well.
Oh, no, yeah, he is. Back into that DRS, but decides to pit regardless. So 8 laps. I mean, historically, I think Mizzo has always been one for stretching out those tyres longer than most, so I think it may be a couple of laps yet. But I was talking about working together and not hanging each other out to dry. Beaker's got around double the ERS of Mizzo right now. Mizzo
Yeah.
working extra hard to sort of punch that hole, and Beaker not pulling his weight, coasting along, waiting to pounce.
Now, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jinx him, but I'm actually pretty certain that Beaker's gonna get a penalty very soon. I've seen the way that he's attacking this circuit. He is cutting the corners, you know, as you would expect, but he's cutting them a bit too much. I've just seen the way he took, I think it was turn 5. He cut that curb very harsh, almost certain he got warning for it. Mizzo is about to be under attack again, and I imagine ERS is about to be dumped once more, but Beaker's too far back to really actually get the pass.
Yeah, I mean, ERS will be dumped by one person and one person only. Beaker will just sort of hang on in there and just exploit Mizzo's hard work.
I quite like this, to be honest. I quite like that style of driving where it's very much a mental game. You know, you've got to still attack the circuit as normal and just chilling gets another penalty. You still got to attack the circuit as normal and try and stay as on the limit as possible. Mizzo's decided to pit, so he's going to try and undercut, if you like, to protect himself. Pit that lap early or protect himself from the undercut. Now Beaker's going to have the in-lap of champions if he wants to be able to gain that position on Mizzo.
Yeah, straight into mode 4. He's deploying all that energy he's been saving. And I think it is the right time because Hypers took about half a second out of them that last lap. And Brownie has dropped away from Luke as well, 1.2 the gap there. He needs to claw that back. Although I would probably guess that Luke would be in this lap. But JC's gone for the 2-stop. I find that really interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what his end game was here. A soft mediums is just not the ideal strategy whatsoever. You know, you want to try the 1-stop, which you can actually do here. You can actually take the mediums far enough to the end. Softs, yeah, again, do about 10 laps on them. Chuck yourselves in for the mediums. Get yourself 17 laps done on the mediums then, and then you're laughing. You know, your race is done. Your tires will be, you know, a fair bit worn, but nothing to worry about. I wouldn't say you're in puncture zone, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what the plan is. JC may have a trick up his sleeve, although I am not of the same opinion. Is that Hypers? No, it's not. It's Camille again.
No, that is, yeah, it's just Camille getting out of the way of Mizzo as Yonti picks up a penalty. I think this is, I want to change my prediction, to be honest. This is going to be a 3-way fight to the finish, and it's going to be decided by penalties between Mizzo, Beaker, and Hypers.
Okay. Well, Luke is in the pits. He's checking himself off now, 10 laps in, or 11 laps if you actually like. He will be, and Beaker's in there as well. Has Mizzo managed to protect himself from the overcut of Beaker? Mizzo's coming through the final 2 corners in just a second. It looks like Beaker's actually, or is already on his way out, so there may actually be a little bit of a scrap here as they leave the pit lane. Beaker needs to go now, but he can't.
No, I think he's well ahead.
There he is.
I would not have minded being behind Beaker, to be honest. And just sort of roll reversal for that second stint. But it is going to be Beaker picking up that slipstream, if he can catch up to the back of Mizzo, which is, you know, that's debatable. 1 lap fresher tyres, but 2.3 seconds he lost.
I actually think Mizzo's got this. Oh, Yonti and Danico. Danico ran off very far wide through turn 2. Now Yonti is here ready to pounce. Danico, if you leave an even slight little crack of a door open, Yonti will absolutely go for it, and I think that might be coming up on the next. Oh no, he's backed off to lane 3. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is still this is the beauty of Russia. At this sort of level, the margins are so fine, and it could be a millimeter. You could be a millimeter away from that 3rd warning, from that 3-second time penalty. And at the level we're driving, the gaps are never more than 3 seconds between these drivers. I mean,
so Hypers,
a safety car with that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to sink like a stone at the end of this race.
Which, with the way that Camille's driving right now and how he's struggling to adapt to these brakes and continuous yellow flags in every sector, there is a good chance we might actually see a full safety car. So, you know, don't rule this out yet. Don't think that anybody's going to run away with this as it stands. Penalties have very much been coming in thick and fast. In fact, I've not actually been able to keep track on exactly who's got what. All I know is Just Chillin's had quite a few. Camille's got even more. And we are only a few away from seeing a disqualification potentially.
Yeah, I mean, Camille, this is the worst driving from him I've seen in. Well, I've seen.
Yep.
But credit to him for carrying on. I mean, I would have parked this a long time ago if I was him. I'm sure most reasonable people would have. I guess he likes torture.
I think he's more just seeing this as a get used to them kind of thing. There's no better practice than the real thing, and fair play to him for, like you said, for sticking it out, really going for it, and just trying to adapt to these brakes as much as possible. It isn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. You know, learning a whole new braking method is hard, and if you've never driven on load cell brakes before, you actually get caught out quite a bit by how much brake pressure you need to apply to these pedals, and you have to completely change how you push the pedal. You know, if you pedal, the way I used to brake was I used to brake using my ankle to flex my foot. Now I actually use my whole leg to apply the brakes, which is just a very different world altogether. It's more realistic, that's for sure, but adapting is the hard part. Just chilling on the back of Beaker now. Beaker looked very good earlier. Obviously, this is now role reversal, where we have Just Chilling who's on the softs, Beaker on the mediums. Just Chilling having a lot of penalties, and he is on a worse strategy in comparison to Beaker. We'll see if he can recover it later, but he has to be fast, as one Sonic the Hedgehog said.
You gotta go fast, indeed. Wise words. But
I actually have
JC just
penalty
getting past
rundown.
Beaker.
Yep.
Penalty, yeah, okay. Go for it.
So penalty
Calculator's
rundown is Dennis on 3 seconds, JC on 6, Overspeed on 14, Yonti on 3, Luke on 3, Danny on 6, Camille was 21, now 24, and has been disqualified.
Yeah, I was going to say, and Hyper's 3 seconds. Just want to cut you off there. Hyper's 3 seconds, coupled with another JC 3 seconds. That has changed this race, and that has completely thrown it into the hands of Mick Lehner, or Mizzo.
Yeah, Mizzo's in a great position right now. This is his to lose. Brownie is still in this fight as well. Remember, he does still have. He has to switch. He'll probably do that in around about 3 laps time. When we hit lap 17, he'll chuck himself off onto the softs and then take them to the end, which he could do, and he could actually take the tires further if he needs to. You know, less fuel means the car is lighter, means that there's a lot less pressure being applied to the tire, and you can really look after them a little bit more as Beaker's getting the back end step out. I am looking at the skies though, and it has really turned. It has actually turned a lot more grey than I thought it would be. There is a potential then, maybe if Just Chillin' has got this right, we might see intermediates towards the end.
That would be a very good explanation. And yeah, I was just about to say, about 5 seconds before you actually said it, it's getting darker.
Yep.
Great minds clearly do think alike. Mizzo, not, well, from what I can see, not confident that it's going to get wet before the race end, but yeah, it could go some way to explaining Just Chilling's tyre strategy.
Well, not just that, actually it changes the whole game if you think about it. Hypers and Brownies suddenly look incredibly well off. You know, they may have actually got, which would also explain why Hypers went for a more wet setup, if that's what he did in the qualifying. Because he was seriously quick in comparison to the others in the wet. But it concerned me that coming into the race, he wasn't going to have the pace, and he looked exactly like that at the start. I've got a sneaky suspicion we're going to get some rain very shortly, and if he do, Hypers and Brownie could actually still win this. Brownie may get the full win because of Hypers' penalty, but still, I don't think this race is anywhere near over.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble, Ben, but I don't think this one-stop mediums to wet is going to do Hypers any favours whatsoever.
Do you want to put a wager on it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. If Hypers manages to take the mediums to the rain, that's if he even rains. Then you have to gift a sub to me, and if I'm wrong, I have to gift a sub to you.
Oh, gift us! I was going to say I've been subbed for like 20 months.
Gift one, yeah. Gift.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it. Sounds good.
All right. Dealio. So Hypers needs to manage his tyres much harder than he is already then to take these a bit further. As here comes Beaker attacking, just chilling in towards turn 2. It's going to be a battle of the brakes, and I think Beaker's going to be the one who's going to be later on it. JC's going to still stick it out. He's actually still alongside of him. Beaker and JC are going to be scrapping for a long time, I think, in this race, but JC did turn his ERS off very early. They are both equal when it comes to ERS usage, and they are both very low on it.
JC's real name is Ruben, right?
Yep.
Well, you can call him Rubens because he is proven to be the best number 2 ever. I mean, the way he's held up Beaker there has really given Mizzo a great chance to save battery, but simultaneously pull out that gap on Beaker. Really great stuff from JC.
The concerning factor, though, is if the rain does come, which it looks like it might be, then Mizzo is going to be so far back in comparison to those two ahead. If it comes now, he's done for. There is no way to recover from this race because 15 seconds is just not going to be workable when we get to the wet conditions. It's raining right now. Rain is here. So Hypers, if it gets wet enough, may have actually done it.
I'm not sure. It's going to take a while to get wet.
I don't think it will.
Am I nervous? Yes, because it's just started raining and I've just seen it. Do I think those mediums are going to be in a very pretty place by the time it finally gets wet enough? If it gets wet enough for inters? No. I think Mizzo, I think at the moment, it's still a very good chance for him.
Maybe, but if it falls harder now, if the rain falls harder now and actually starts to, I mean, the main giveaway here is look at the halos of the car. When you start to see spots that are settling on the car, then you know we are nearing intermediate tires session. I don't think this is going to end up being a full wet set at any point. We do still have 10 laps to go, yeah, that's for sure. And you know, when the rain does fall, that's going to be all well and good. But the reason why I think Hypers will be in the better position overall is look how long is left of this race. He, like I said before, seemingly went for a more wet setup, which is where he's going to excel from this moment forward. He should start to just disappear. He's already, albeit barely, covered himself off from his penalty that he's accrued, and he's starting to pull even further away from Browning.
Yeah, I'm still very concerned whether those tires are going to hold up. I mean, if he's forced into an early pit stop for inters, he's easily going to lose 25-30 seconds in one lap.
Yeah.
Well, time only will tell, but at the moment, it is still Mizzo gaining, and he's gaining by a lot.
Yeah, but is it going to be enough by the time the rain falls? It is definitely falling that little bit hard, but we're still not yet seeing the indicative spots on the halos that suggest we aren't nearing the intermediate conditions. I think we may be a couple of laps away before we even get to that, if we even do get to that. The worry for these drivers are, you know, especially JC, he's 8 laps in on these softs. If he takes them too far, they will puncture, and he can't risk that happening. If it stays dry enough to stay on the dry tyres, but, you know, wet enough to make the dry tyres a nightmare, he's done for.
If you're looking further down the field, you'll notice that Yonti, 15 laps on these soft tyres.
Yeah, that's a risk.
That's a miracle.
But it's not even paid off for him, though. That's the thing. It's not even paid off for him.
No,
he's P10, and he's only going to lose 2 places at most. Like, what's the benefit?
Lewis Hamilton Monaco sort of tyre-saving miracle Bono.
Yeah. The tyres are dead, Bono. But I'm still P10, so I might gain something.
Tyres were dead 10 laps ago, I think. That's incredible.
Who is on the back of Hypers? That's a Red Bull. Is that Overspeed? Yeah, it is. Overspeed.
Yeah, it's Overspeed, and it is Overspeed's AI.
Oh.
So, pretty quick in these conditions.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, Hyper's still far up. Yes, Mizzo is still closing in, but that is still 16 seconds, 17 seconds gap to leader. And he's going to have a hell of a close-in in order for this to work out. But again, the risk on Hypers here is if he's made the mistake of not getting himself onto the... by going onto the wet setup, that could affect him come towards the end of the race as a broken rainbow for me. Hypers drives right through him as if he's not there. Where is the rainbow for you?
So, Rainbow is P3 right now.
Oh, wow.
1.2 seconds ahead of Mizzo. He has not pitted. He's still on the mediums. But yeah, he's not a winner, I would say. He's P3, but once he pits, I am still going along with my theory that he will have to pit before it gets wet enough, or risk a puncture. He's not gonna win. He's gonna be sort of around P8 or P9, maybe even lower.
Yep.
But I don't think it's wet enough. It's not raining hard enough for me.
Yeah, it is concerning. Like I say, I have driven in conditions where the track is damp. It is very soggy, but isn't wet enough for you to need to go onto wet tyres or intermediate tyres. Although the rain has just suddenly started to fall a little bit more now, according from, well, I don't know if I'm just hallucinating, but it does look like, if you look at Hyper's screen, for example, that halo is starting to get penetrated, and I've seen a spot fall onto his car. Come on, rain, fall harder.
I'm still waiting to see spray, and there is absolutely nothing there.
Yep.
And Mizzo is now going to go for the pass on Rain down the pit straight. Yep, it's going to be a slam dunk for Mick as he takes P3. Rainbow goes to the inside to give him the position. He knows it's not his fight, but he does still get very close to the back of Mizzo. And it gets a penalty for his trouble and a big kick of oversteer, which might give some sort of insight into what the drivers are feeling out there. It may be getting slightly wetter.
Yes, it is. It is. Look at the halos, especially of Hypers. There are spots on his halo, which is great news for my little bet that we got going on here, because I think this is about to turn into an intermediate tyre session.
Yep. Not before he gets a puncture, though.
He will not get a puncture.
It's tough. I mean, Mizzo is not driving quickly enough at the moment. Hypers has managed to really keep those tires in a really good spot, in a really good zone. Brownie's been dropping close to a second a lap now for the last sort of 2 or 3 laps. Mizzo still gaining, but only by a few tenths per lap, and it's not what you want to be doing in this stage. The only way Mizzo is going to win this race now is if it stays dry, Hypers is forced to pit, or it doesn't, but Hypers gets a puncture or something like that.
Is this you predicting, or is this you praying?
A bit of both, because obviously Mizzo, a good friend of mine, Alfa Romeo driver, and this is a little bit of a trial run for RNL, for me as well, and information gathering. Yeah, so mixture of praying, thinking, mostly praying.
I mean, the spots are still there, but like you said, there's no spray. There's no real indicator that the car is struggling in any way. You know, I'm still on board with Hypers because I'm trying to get his indicative driving, see if he's struggling with the rears at all. He looks cozy, to be truthfully honest. Again, though, it goes back to, does he have that wet setup on? Is that the reason why he's looking so confident?
For Inters, and this will be our answer, boys.
Yep. Mizzo penalty as well.
Time penalty.
So that has helped Hypers a little bit there then. It's protected him.
Beaker dropping back. He's actually fallen behind Luke now. So Beaker really struggling on that harder compound. Not sure what's gone wrong for him.
So Yonti was in a position where he had to pit. He couldn't take the tyres that he had any further without risking puncture. And if he did puncture, he was done for.
One corner has already told me everything I need to know. It's not into weather yet. Having to lift through turn 4. Not now, and I don't think ever, to be honest.
Hyper's in a world of trouble if it doesn't. It is really starting to get a bit scary for him right now. He needs the rain to fall, and he is praying that the track just gets a little bit more slippery than it needs to.
JC's in. He admits defeat, I think, or potentially he's going to risk it for intermediates.
But that's the other risk you've got on this circuit, is the lap times are so long here that if you time it wrong, if you go a lap too long, you will lose so much time. And I'm not just... Oh, he's got mediums.
It's a set of yellows. And I think I'm inclined to agree with him. It's simply not raining hard enough.
Oh no.
Hypers, well, he's going to be sweating right now. So is Brownie. They've taken a risk.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it does not look like it's going to pay off.
There are still some laps to go. Life is not over yet. There is still opportunity for the rain to fall harder, and granted, it has been slow, but over the past sort of 4 or 5 laps, it has progressively got worse. They need it to fall even harder in the next 2 or 3 laps so that they can actually get themselves into the pits and onto some intermediate tyres that do work. Granted, like you said, they have done very well to make the mediums go 21 laps. This is a really good performance from them to manage the tyre wear, to manage the tyre temps, and still maintain a very decent level of pace. But the rain isn't falling as hard as they need it to. It's concerning.
And I tell you what, it really is. These mediums for the front two, they have fallen off a huge cliff. Mizzo, I think, took about 3 or 4 seconds now out of Hypers that last lap, or these last 2 laps. So Mizzo, I think, yep, Rainbow in from P4 to admit defeat, or to risk it all for a set of inters. I will let you know which. And he's admitting defeat. It is a set of softs.
Yeah, he knows. He knows the situation. Softs is the only tyre that you can go on right now. It's just not wet enough, and I'm starting to be concerned that you might be right. Maybe the rain isn't going to fall enough. 4 laps to go. 5 if you include the remainder of the one that they're on right now. And if you look where race leader is, he's already halfway around.
Yeah. A big slide from Hypers. And, you know, I don't know. I expect to see him in this lap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 14 seconds, the gap. Could he... It's a pretty long pit lane in Russia. Could he get out on softs and still be competitive towards the end of the race?
Oh, his main worry is if he does go softs now and it doesn't rain harder, what does he do? He's actually staying out for another lap.
Out. Yep. He's
not
going to happen for him. I'm afraid it's not going to happen.
Stop saying that. It's going to happen. Yellow flag sector 1, that is in fact a Red Bull. I believe that is overspeed. Yes, it is. He's facing the wrong direction and reversing on the circuit in neutral.
That's a very interesting scene as it's...
And DQ... Oh, I thought he was going to get DQ'd.
Oh, okay. There wasn't the impression that overspeed was being controlled by the AI, but I guess not. So, another lap for Hypers on 23 lap old mediums. We're on lap 24, so he has run the whole race along with Brownie on these medium tyres. They are the only two to still be on the same compound they started on. And unless something happens, something big happens, it's going to be the wrong call.
Yeah, and there needs to be something big, ideally in the form of a rainstorm that just suddenly starts to tear it down on the circuit to make their strategy worthwhile. And Hyper's invested everything. He even went for the setup change by the looks of things. You know, it worked well in qualifying for him. We talked about that a few times already, but right now it's just not favouring him. Yeah, P1 is where he sits as it stands, but again, the gap is just so large. We're looking at a P3 at best.
I tell you what though, Mizzo is driving like an absolute demon right now. I've just noticed this, but the gap between him and Bika is around 12 seconds. He's driving the wheels off that Alfa Romeo.
He's
doing
a quick boy.
Exactly what he needs to do. He is an extremely quick boy. But on, yeah, it's almost a second a lap he's been taking out of Bika. And remember, they pitted, well, Bika actually pitted later than him, so he's got fresher tyres. Bika is so slow on this second set. So slow.
And you can't even argue that he's being held up because he's not really conserved any ERS whatsoever. You know, he's been dumping it, trying to close in on Luke. It's just the exit that just seems to be letting him down over and over and over again. And he just doesn't seem to be comfortable in these damp conditions.
And 12 seconds now, the gap between Hypers and Mizzo. But obviously, Hypers still needs to pit, or he is going to get disqualified.
Or a
I
puncture.
think even if he does pit, even if it does turn inters, Mizo stays out, he wins this race.
Yeah, yes.
I
Unless...
think it's too far gone. Not even switching in the weather can save him here.
I mean, if it was a sudden torrential downpour, maybe
Yeah.
it would favour Hypers then. But yeah, I think you're right. I think now we're in a position where there's not a lot that Hypers can do. Hypers will have to come in this lap, surely. He's staying out for another one. He's committed, but this is it. This is literally the last lap that he can go. If he goes another lap, he's disqualified. This has to be the pit stop lap.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
The rain, is the rain picking up? I can't tell.
Well, I tell you what, Yonti has had enough of those intermediates, so I do not think so.
Yeah, he's gone soft as well. Look at that. He knows.
Yeah, he's back onto dries. It's the wrong call. It was a useful call for everyone to figure out that it wasn't the right time. But yeah, Yonti the guinea pig there, not working out for him whatsoever. He's down in P11.
And Beaker's attacking Luke, although he's not close enough yet to actually make the pass happen. He's still ready to fire one should the opportunity arise. Yellow flag sector 3. Who's that? That is a Ferrari. Is that Dennis?
Ferrari.
No, it's Danico.
It's Danico. So the Ferrari swap positions.
Puncture, left side. Oh no, Danico.
18 laps.
Yeah. Oh, he's struggling.
I was thinking of the few things that could save Hypers, and a VSC was one of them. I'm not sure VSC's trigger this late in a race.
There is surely no saving grace for Hypers now. Surely not. And he's struggling with the rear as it is. Look at the way he's applying the throttle. He's just so gingerly going for it. You know, granted, we've got to give him credit. He has done an incredible job to keep the tyres alive in this scenario. But now he knows I have to pit no matter what. Here he comes to the pit lane. We can only imagine he's going for soft tyres. But this is a disaster.
I mean, I would have gone about 5 laps earlier when I realised it wasn't going to get much worse than this. He could have still had a chance to maybe clinch a podium, but he's just left it too late. He may get out ahead of Luke. I'm not too sure. I think it will be close, actually. And Brownie goes for inters.
That's a mistake. That's a very large mistake. The rain is just not falling hard enough. We are on the final lap, and Mizo has got the lead. Luke is also in P2. Beaker in P3, but Hypers on the soft tyres is going to be so fast.
Yeah, this is... But remember, Hypers has a 3-second penalty. I don't think Beaker does. I'm not sure Luke. I think he might have a 3-second. But Hypers straight around the outside into 5. Beaker turning in regardless there. But I think Hypers had more than enough alongside Beaker. And Brownie Brownie's going to be overtaken by Rainbow here.
Hypers is in so much trouble, and he knows it. He's right here, ready to fire one off on Luke, but Luke is defending, and he's got every right to. This is for a physical P2, and even if he does actually let him pass, which in the end he hasn't really got a choice, he can still gain that back, all down to whether or not Luke has any penalties or not. Hypers struggling with the car as well. He's trying to accelerate as quick as he can. 12.6 seconds is the gap between him and Mizo. Mizo is looking so good right now to take this win. I don't think anybody can stop him, and he is so happy with himself. Yeah,
I mean, whether it was a risk or an educated guess, I'm not sure, but whatever he did, it turned out to be exactly the right thing to do. Couple that with blistering pace throughout, no matter what tyre he was on. Brilliant race. Hypers P2 on the road, but when it will be P2 on the standings, he kicks it out coming over the final turn.
Oh, Beaker.
Beaker, P2. And coming across the line completely sideways.
Now, Brownie is going to be hitting the line as well, but on the intermediate tyres, surely he will not be gaining. He's gone P5 according to my screen. I don't know where Rainbow is for you. Oh, P7. Is that right?
P7, yeah, he dropped down to P7. Yeah.
JC's crossed the line. He's gone P8. Dennis will hopefully make it without any issues for P9. Danica, who's had a mare of a race, has gone P10, but not as big of a mare as Yonti did, who has finished P11.
Yep, and 1 lap down. That is a big shame from someone who I said was doing really well in qualifying. Turned out not to be the case. Very unlucky. Contact, I think, with Dennis early on in the race, wasn't it? Brought out that VSC. The VSC didn't last long enough for him
Yeah,
to
I think
pit.
it was Dennis, because I remember Dennis had a very broken front wing. Whether that was caused by Dennis, Yonti, or whether it was a racing incident, who knows. However, we do know there was a bit of an issue or two for Dennis, but he has crossed the line. He will take P9. Danico will, in a couple of corners, make it for P10 and get the final point position. He has run very wide there. And he gets a penalty. Not that it will matter. And he will cross the line.
Yep, finish with a bit of flair, throw it into the wall. Job done.
Alright, we'll get the rundown in just a second for you, but what a run that was from Mizza. He really showed how smart he can be. It's not just the raw pace that he chucked on the circuit as well, and trust me, he chucked it on, but his mentality throughout the entire race, he stayed focused, he listened to the environment around him, and he realised that actually, I don't need to touch the wet tyres at all. And despite his penalty, he still takes the top step of the podium. Beaker, who kept it clean and actually managed to secure P2 as a result of Hyper's penalty, who really went for a ballsy strategy. It did backfire and he has fallen to P3, but you've got to give him credit for sticking out as long as he did. Luke takes P4. Yep. Brownie, who went for the intermediate tyres, will take P5 in the end. Copy taking P6, Rainbow taking P7, Just Chillin' gets P8 with Dennis in P9, Danico getting the final point with Yonti getting the Best of the Rest award, and our DNFers were Overspeed and Camille, who got disqualified. But leaves me to finally ask you, and I'm pretty sure you already know the answer, who's your driver of the day?
Mizzo, obviously. I mean, I think even if this was dry race, no strategy involved, Mizzo made the right call starting on the softs. He was quicker where he needed to be quicker. And that stint on the mediums on his own showed real good mental strength to be able to motivate himself while driving on his own. And, you know, got 25 points for it. So well done to him.
Yep, very well done indeed. I think I agree with him. I think for me it's a tie between Beaker and Mizzo. I mean, Beaker, you know, he didn't have the outright raw pace. I mean, he was still P2 in the qualifying and he finished P2 in the race by keeping it clean. But, you know, he made everything work. I think everything, based on everything that's happened to him in the race, I think he's actually done quite well to secure P2. But yeah, I think you're right. Mizzo takes it. He really, really played the smart game and it worked out in the end. But that's it for the European Racing Series Grand Prix here in Russia. I've been Ben Rwaggy McConnell and joining me has been David Fossetti Tate. Thank you as always for joining me. And you win the bet.